Hello, warriors. Welcome to the You Movement. I am B. So many shifts and changes, and they happen so rapidly. It's just crazy. So today, I received some packages that I am very excited about. And I'm also in the process of purging, because as new things come in, old things gotta go, to make room. Otherwise we become hoarders. And I can't have that because I have to be somewhat mobile to move. And what came in is the version of who I want to be, where I am heading. So I ordered myself a specialty mattress to fit in the back of my Toyota Highlander so that I can go car camping, and with it some other bits and bobs to make car camping possible, such as mosquito netting that goes over the windows of your car to cross breeze, a little fan. I've also got myself set up to turn my paddleboard, because I don't want to accumulate more things, especially big things. So my paddleboard can be converted into a kayak, kind of. It's a little blow-up chair and a kayak paddle, as I got with my new fishing rod, which is the cutest little fishing rod in the world. It's this big. It folds over and it's just like the smallest little thing, so very convenient for putting into a backpack. And a fishing bucket that collapses down this big, so that I can go out on my paddleboard, and that will be happening soon. The car camping is a little bit of a further away, perhaps, goal. So here I am, getting kitted out with everything I need to step into the version of me that I want to become. And I'm not fully at that person yet, as we've discovered, because the trip to Kripalu that I wanted to take, I realized I'm not ready for. And it's not because I'm not ready to drive that distance, but I'm not ready to leave my country, because that's too much on my nervous system at the present moment in time, this PTSD situation. And regulating your nervous system after going through Kundalini awakening takes a long time. Way longer than my willpower could or would want it to go. If regulating your nervous system was something that was done by will, trust me, I'd have had that sucker like whipped into shape in no time. But it's not will that reprograms your nervous system. It's actually the opposite energy that is required. It is softening, not pushing through and not forcing, which is what my spiritual warrior was particularly good at and necessary for the situation that I was in then. Stepping into the who I want to be next requires softening, gentleness, and a whole different state of being. So as I'm excitedly collecting things to make my life the way that I want it to be, a little bit more nomadic and full of adventure, and eventually doing a road trip through the United States, that would also be like, yes. I have it actually all planned out in regards to what places I want to go. We're up to 22 now, because it would have to be a full loop. The first 7 I had were to get me to the Redwood Forest in California. And now I'm like, oh no, that's not going to work. So I've rejigged my entire dream trip that I invite you all to come on with me to be 22 stops. So it's going to be like a couple of months of touring. And each stop is no more than 5 hours away from the last stop. So not a huge amount of drive time. We move and we drive and then set up camp and stay at the new location for a period of time, however long. If we're not feeling it, we'll move on quicker, kind of thing. It's going to be fluid, because we're going to be going more with the flow, less rigidity in my life. So that's the dream, that's the goal. And to get there requires letting go of the old. So today I've been doing a little bit of purging again. And I should be really good at this by now, but what I'm purging is the old me. The me that I really kind of liked, the me that was the spiritual warrior, a little bit badass. And so I want to talk a little bit about identity on a spiritual awakening and how much it shifts and changes and why that is the case. And to do so requires me to go back in time into history a little bit. And all of you know that I was adopted at 2.5, and when I was adopted, I was adopted into a household with a very narcissistic mother. And narcissistic mothers in particular rob you of your first chakra, the root chakra's right to be you. So we have different rights, and I've done lots of videos on this. Hop into the chakra playlist if you're interested in more about the chakra perspective. But the first chakra, or root chakra's right, is the right to be, the right to exist as you are, you know. And because you are typecast when you are adopted into or raised by a narcissistic mother, they will script you and give you a role which isn't necessarily who you even are, because there is no freedom to develop your own self-expression, your own identity, your own sense of self. Instead, they do things like cut your hair off, which for a girl is cruel. I'm not going to say anything else. It is cruel. And it robs that little girl of her own little girlness, her own identity of what it is to go through life as a little girl. You are made to look like a little boy, and that is done on purpose so that you look awkward and stand out next to all the other little girls who have long hair and braids and wear pretty little barrettes and all kinds of things. I was given a horrendous bowl cut that I wore for years. That was a traumatizing experience every time I sat down for a haircut at the kitchen table with the rusty kitchen scissors, and off she hacked my hair. Many cultures, hair is you. It's a further expression of who you are. Many cultures, you know, they don't cut hair at all, full stop. That's just not a thing, because to do so is, and interestingly, because I was on my adoption papers told that I was Métis. My birth parents and my genetic testing has since disqualified that. But I was sold, I was remarketed in the Children's Aid Society as a little Métis girl. Now, granted, I definitely looked Métis, and I definitely have some Native in me. I've got a very Mohawk body structure, but it's also quite similar to French. And when I did my genetic testing in my early 40s, it was like, yeah, you're like 87% French. French from France, French Canadian, French settlers, French, which was exactly what my birth parents said when I met them, is we're not Native, we're French. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, my entire life, I had an identity that was the little Métis girl that was adopted into this nice white family, you know, so I really resonated with that as an identity. And even my college program was a Native community worker-based program specializing in addictions, because that's who I was, right? I was Métis. And interestingly, where I didn't understand that at the time, but I do now, you know, when Indian children were stolen from their families, from their tribes, and put into residential schools here in Canada and in the United States and in Australia, most likely other cultures as well, the first thing that they did was chop off their hair. And so robbing them of their history, because our hair tells our history as we go through. So I was given this horrendous bowl cut and then forced to wear clothing that was heinous, as far as I was concerned, not who I was. You know, children at a young age quickly develop, I like this and I don't like that. But when you're scripted by a narcissist, you're not allowed to like or dislike what you like. You have to like or dislike what you're told to like or dislike, because it's the character that you're being given, which is, here, you are the scapegoat, you are the black sheep, you are the whatever, you are the golden, you know, even the golden has their own. So interestingly, and I just realized, you know, my brother's wardrobe was all preppy. And my wardrobe was all clothes that had horrible patterns, or clothes that she actually even sewed for me, that she made me wear these heinous dresses. And I hated them. And still to this day, I hate patterns. Like, I despise florals or patterns on fabric. I'm like, give me a plain color. You won't see me wearing too many patterns unless those patterns are tie-dye. But like, I was not allowed to pick my clothes, is my story. It wasn't until I got a job as a teenager that I was finally allowed to start purchasing clothes that I liked. And even then, I was on a very limited budget of what I could afford as a part-time job at New York Fries. And so, you know, you do with the best you can. And I never got to wear, throughout my life, you know, I never got to wear what I wanted to wear, is my point. And when you go through your awakening process and you go through soul retrieval, part of that is retrieving lost aspects of selves. And I've talked about that in the sense of, you know, you do things that maybe you always wanted to do but never given a chance. So for example, in 2021, I got myself an agent in Toronto, and I started doing auditions, you know. So my education from the time I was in grade 4 to the time that I failed out of that school and moved on to the next school and the next school it was like a fame school. Half of the day was arts and theater and dance and music, and then half of the day was academics. And so I always wanted to be an actress. So there I am in 2021, living out my inner 18-year-old's dreams, 16-year-old, all of those dreams of becoming an actress. And it was amazing, and I was in a clique of other actors and comedians and improv people, and I was one of the cool kids. It was so awesome, and I got a role in a movie, and I got to play a lawyer, and it was so cool. And I got to do a stand-up comedy show in Toronto, and like these were my lifelong dreams, like deeply repressed lifelong dreams, because we put our lifelong dreams away. So in our awakening, you'll find a lot of things manifest that are like a delayed manifestation. Like, you put the request in for the manifestation when you were 16, and I wanted to audition for Degrassi Junior High, that all my friends were on that show. And I was told, no, you can't do that. So repress that rage a little bit in there. And because I had these early childhood experiencing, my teenager was angry. I was a very angry teenager, but I wasn't allowed to be angry either. And I wasn't allowed to fully express my punk rocker to the nth degree that I wanted to. You know, like, I went through a phase where I was like really into my hippie phase and like chilled out. And I went through a phase that I was really into like punk. And that was an identity that never got to reach its full expression. So in my awakening, at the age of 48, you know, I was like, fuck it. I'm going to like do what I want to do. And I hit a really masculine arrow that was like, as I said in other videos, the creation of my spiritual warrior, right? And my warrior chick was an opportunity for my inner teenager to be fully expressed. And so as I'm cleaning out the wardrobe, I'm looking at these clothes, and you have to understand, like, I love my punk rock chick. I love my inner rebel. I love her. I love her. She's badass. And in my awakening, you know, I had compiled myself a wardrobe of clothes that I really, really liked that consisted of, for example, a lot of Vans men's clothes, because I liked men's clothes. I can't show you those, but you just need to go back and see my videos from 3 to 5 years ago, and you'll always see me in a Vans t-shirt. And I piled up all my Vans clothes, all of my men's tie-dyed hoodies, and I put them in a bag, and I gave them to the boy who takes care of my cat and his family, because there's 3 boys in the family, so maybe they'll find them useful. If not, I said feel free to give them back, and I'll donate them to charity. But as I was going through, I went through my memory box as well, things that I had tucked away that I were like, I want to keep this. I want to keep this aspect of self. And here I am now, softening into a whole new person that I want to be. Somebody who's a lot more soft, a lot more flexible, a lot less rigid, and fuck yeah. And so I went through my memory box today, and I dug out a few things that I'm going to share with you. Okay? Because I'm honoring this aspect of myself that is no more, and I don't need to keep like this many clothes. So we're going to be getting rid of my pleather pants. I loved my motorcycle pants. My punk rock t-shirts. We got Green Day. We got Blink 182. Here we got Rock Fest, where the lineup was like, I think this was like one of the best years. Rammstein, Queens of the Stone Age, Iggy Pop, Alexis on Fire, The Offspring. That was a good year. I went to that all the time. I've told you about it. My favorite band of all time, Jane's Addiction. Oh, yes, Jane's Addiction. Jane's Addiction. I love Jane's Addiction. When I was 16, I first fell in love with Dr. Martens. We got The Offspring here. I'm going to get into that in a second. Look at this top. It's awesome. Okay. When I was 15, bomber jackets were the coolest thing on the entire planet, and my entire life I wanted a black bomber jacket with an orange lined inside, and I never got to have one because I couldn't afford it when I was 15. I couldn't afford it, and I found this in a charity shop, and I just about like had like an orgasm on the spot because I was like, oh my god, I've always wanted to have that jacket. So I bought it for myself, and yeah, I loved that. I loved my Dr. Martens, another Offspring top. So I am glad that I had the opportunity in this life to fully express my inner actress, to fully express my inner punk rock chick, to fully express my skinny, sexy lady. You know, there was a period of time before the punk rock chick took over that I was in a really girly, pretty phase, and I was like, because I had lost all that weight, and I'd never been that skinny before in my life. I've since put on like probably about 20 pounds, which is a good thing. But I was like, oh, I want to be a model. I want to be an Instagram model. And so I was like doing all these, like wearing sexy dresses, little like cutie things, and, you know, doing my face up full blast. And I was letting that aspect of myself that never got to be expressed because I was awkward and uncomfortable and full of repressed rage and everything else. So I never got an opportunity to be that person. And you may have noticed recently, since arriving here, I treated myself to a whole bunch of, they were dirt cheap on sale, which was amazing. Suits, you know, a matching hoodie with a matching thing, and they're like pinks and baby blues. And I got myself barrettes to match. I got myself pink barrettes and blue and purple barrettes so that I could put barrettes in my hair that I have allowed to grow out and be natural and let my like little inner child feel pretty for the first time in her life. And they're super soft and they're super cozy and they're super nice. I would not have been able to wear one of those when I was little. I would have been, I wouldn't have been able to wear. If I had said, can I wear this? Can I buy that? It would have been no. But the thing is, as much as I love these things, this isn't me anymore. I'm softening. I'm thawing. I needed this chick. And I'm even wearing underneath to give her some honoring of Vans. Aww, my little Vans, like, the last time I'm gonna wear it. Because I'm honoring my little obsession with Vans and my Doc Martens. I loved those things. It was a way for me to express myself through fashion, and as much as I love that person, I am not her anymore because she has reached her full expression. There is no more repressed or no more, I wish I coulda. As the childhood wounds began to surface, I let them play out naturally the way they wanted, including the tattoos, because that to me was, you know, honoring, as I talked about the other day, honoring the warrior and the battles that I was forced to endure in order to escape from a psycho. And the new me, like soft, loose fitting things that are lighter in color. Like, look, I'm even switching from the dark side to the light side. Talk about metamorphosis, you know. I used to, many times in my life, my wardrobe was completely black. Because black is a grounding color. It is a root chakra color, actually. Most people associate the root chakra with red, but that's a fully functioning one. A root chakra that is closed off is dark tones. So maroons and blacks and things like that associate with the root chakra. And under the root chakra, you've got feet chakras as well. So it's to help keep you grounded. Like my Doc Martens kept me grounded on this earth. So they did. But as some level frustrating it is to completely change your wardrobe, I was never allowed to do that. I was never allowed in my life growing up to, I never had the money to do it. So, you know, indulging in myself is like, has been a journey, like insane, like to start being able to like buy yourself things. So I think you're about to see another metamorphosis as my clothes are changing. I have zero interest in wearing yoga pants anymore either, because a lot of this stuff would have just been worn with like yoga short cutoffs or yoga pants. And they're tight and uncomfortable. I think some loose-fitting linen pants is more in keeping with who I want to be at the age of 53, 54, 55. And they're better for camping, keep the mosquitoes at bay, get camping clothes. This stuff's not appropriate for camping. It won't work. So it's interesting, and I wanted to talk about this because it's a little bit of a lighter topic, and enough of this awakening is like, oh, it's so brutal, ego death. But this is kind of maybe the lighter side of ego death, is when an identity dies, you get to you get to transform, you get to change. You get to go from shaving your head to growing your hair out. Like, I still got a little bit like a cool chick in me. With my tiny little shaved cutout right here, undercut. But I'm growing my hair out, and I love it. I haven't had long hair in a very, very long time. And on my awakening, my hair alone has gone from like bleach blonde to like dyed pink to shaved, completely shaved, wearing like a mohawk for a period of time. I didn't care. I'm like, this is how I want to wear my hair right now. I'm going to wear it like this. And this is how I want to wear my hair right now. And I want to grow it as long as I can grow it, and see, on this side anyways, and see how that feels for me. And maybe I'll do something differently down the road, but I've already got my chance to express, as I said, my inner actress and my inner punk rock chick, my inner spiritual warrior, and even my inner victim. I didn't shy away from the fear, even though there was fear, and even though there was other people shaming me for utilizing YouTube as a means of healing for myself and for others, because I saw the value in it, even if they didn't. The value of self-expression is hugely necessary on this process. And I did some writing. I made a post about my YouTube channel. Of course, when I lay in my bed in 2019 and had the realization that I somehow needed to get out of my marriage, and I had no idea how to do that, like none whatsoever. And I lay there bawling my eyes out, crying and pleading and asking, and I'm like, what am I good at? What can I do? How can I survive? Because I had lost my job, right? Like, I technically haven't worked at a place since 2019, when Spirit took that job away from me. And I'm like, what am I going to do? How am I going to be self-sufficient? How am I going to make money? How am I going to survive? And so for a couple years, it was living off of EI. And then when that ran out, it was luckily the COVID. And then when that road ran out, I had some life insurance payment paid out to me, and I was writing that. And then it was credit cards, and I was writing that until I was $36,000 in debt. And then, I sold my house and paid off my debts, and, now I'm living off that. And all of it underneath, from an egoic point of view, was like, okay, maybe this is going to be the thing that's going to make me money. Because when I had lay in bed, bawling my eyes out, crying, going, how am I going to stand on my own 2 feet? How am I going to do this? The only thing that came to me was, well, you're really good at acting. And I was like, well, yeah, but I look like a manatee. Because that's what I used to call myself when I was at my fattest stage, is I'm just a big fat manatee. And nobody wants to look on that. So I better get myself into shape. And so began the, inspiration was Rocky Balboa. I'm Rocky Balboa. I am going to do whatever it takes. And I used to listen to the song, Whatever It Takes, by, is it One Republic? No, it's not. It's the other one. I can't remember right now. And anyways, I had these like motivating theme songs to get me going, to walk and walk and walk and walk and have the weight dropped off, because the goal was, I'm gonna become an actress. And then when the actress thing fell apart, because my damn autistic need for justice stepped in, and I was like, no, this is all gonna collapse now, isn't it? Because what happened was the director of the movie that I was in, it was kind of our lead, our main dude in the improv group that I was in, sexually harassed a woman in front of all of us as a skit, granted, but it was still inappropriate. And then it just went all crazy, and so because it turned into this huge thing, I ended up quitting the agency, because the agency wouldn't defend the women, and I was like, I need to take a stand. So my lifelong dream of being an actress went by, and I tried to get a different agent for a period of time, but it didn't fly. It didn't fly because it wasn't supposed to fly. And so then I'm like, okay, well, maybe my YouTube is the thing, and the You movement is the thing that's going to like propel me into a career, into mission. And, you know, on most videos, I make maybe like $2, between $2 and $10. You know, but I'm driven. Like, I am driven. I don't have a choice. Like, I get, like, it's like I have to do it. It's like breathing. I have to, like, sit in front of this camera and, like, share my experiences for a multitude of reasons. And the biggest reason is it's a lifeline. It's a lifeline that goes two ways, right? It's a lifeline for me, and it's a lifeline for other people, because I had no one at all that was standing up and helping me as my entire reality crumbled into a million pieces. And so it was overshadowed by, I need to do this in order to survive, not in order to like have a career. It overshadowed the whole career thing, completely and utterly. And that's okay. I'm at peace with it. Whatever's meant to be will be. And I think it's all leading me to what that is. What I would like what my vision is very much to kind of be a little bit more nomad-esque and be able to like drive around the country and do videos of showing you where I am and cracking a lot more jokes, because I got some funny inside here. I had to save my funny. That was part of my awakening, is integrating my funny, because I wasn't allowed to be funny. I was only allowed to be laughed at, not laughed with. So it's been a process of getting me into alignment with me, with who I am. It's also a process of getting me to where I'm meant to be. I don't know who that is. I just know she likes a little bit more soft, flowy clothes, apparently, now. Who knew? And there's a little bit more adventurous, a little bit more humor, a little bit more flexibility, a little bit understanding that things are going to happen in divine time. Right? Like, my 16-year-old self's dream to be an actress didn't actually manifest until I was 48. But it manifested, right? It made manifest. And that's just it. So I'm preparing, I'm in a preparation phase for becoming a new person. Who that is in entirety, I don't know. And where is that going to bring me? I don't know. I hope that this particular video has been a little bit fun for you to watch. If you are currently in an energy of living out some trapped, traumatic, childhood repressed dreams, just do it. Just do it. The thing you always wish you could have done when you were a kid, just do it. And if people like shame you or blame you or judge you or criticize you, that's a them problem. That's not a you problem at all. It really isn't. Facing your fear and doing it anyways is something that we learn to do over and over and over and over and over again. And I know at some point I'm going to face my fear and go into the United States, because I have a dream of driving for all over the United States now. Never thought that one would be my dream, but that's my dream. I have other dreams too, and I don't know how they'll be manifest. That's up to God. Whatever's meant to be will be. It really will. I can't, like, it's the rigid side of me. It's the I need to control, I need to manage that is softening. So with the death of the, spiritual warrior, comes a gentler, softer vibe. Like, even my hair is so soft. I haven't had natural hair since I was like a young child. As soon as I could start bleaching and dyeing it, that's what I was doing. So my hair always was like straw. I'm like, God, it's silky smooth. Of course, red onion shampoo, just in case anybody wanted to know what you should do if your hair is thinning on your awakening process. Red onion shampoo is the bomb diggity. Lots of love to absolutely everyone who is out there. I'm sending you so much. I see you. Lots of love out to all of you. Mwah. Peace in.